Sohail Pardis was everything the West had ever asked of the Afghan people. Following the US invasion, he worked as a translator alongside US troops who came to Afghanistan with a dual mission: to eliminate Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, and to help Afghanistan towards a free and democratic future. Risking his own life, he worked alongside our troops to make that mission successful. In recent days, though, following the departure of Western forces, he knew that he was in some trouble from those extremists who regarded his actions as treachery. Then, a couple of weeks ago on a cross-country drive, his worst fears came true as he was confronted with a Taliban roadblock. Knowing his fate if he was to be discovered, he attempted to ram through the roadblock. He failed. After being dragged from his car, he was identified and then beheaded. He was the father of a 9-year-old girl. His death is just one of the unspeakable tragedies unfolding in Afghanistan. In Kandahar, province hard won by Western forces, which has been overrun by the Taliban, 900 have already been executed. Both the US and UK are now having to go to extraordinary lengths to urgently provide asylum for any translator they previously employed. These efforts, though, will do nothing for the swathes of Afghanistan that now live under Taliban rule. For them, their lives will return to the cruel yoke of the Taliban Sharia law. Girls will be banished from schooling, corruption will be rife, and violence the ultimate form of law. After 20 years of conflict where real human rights gains were won through the effort of British, American and other allied soldiers, ordinary Afghans will be scarcely better off than they were before 2001. Meanwhile, Al-Qaeda and its successors will find themselves once more having a permanent base of operations to strike from. In every circumstance in which swathes of land have been lost to Islamists, even those not themselves committed to terrorism, the jihadists have set up base. From Sudan to Somalia, to Iraq, Syria and Nigeria, the rule holds. Now, in all likelihood, it will hold once more in Afghanistan. From there, the jihadists will plot once more how to inflict maximum misery on the streets of America and Britain. Of course, it wasn't meant to be this way, and until very recently it looked an unlikely outcome. Yes, after 2 decades of war, the American people were tired of the Afghan deployment, but for many years there had been no combat fatalities. The mere presence of American troops was all that was required to keep the Taliban at bay. The US has remained in Japan and Germany for decades. That continued presence helped secure the development of those nascent democracies into established allies. In Afghanistan, instead, both Presidents Trump and Biden sought cheap headlines claiming that they were bringing their boys home. It was true in a sense, but it has come at the deadly cost of betraying the entire mission for which those same troops had fought. None of us believe that any soldier would abandon the battlefield before victory was assured. Yet sadly, that seems to be what the US has now done. President Biden prides himself on championing the plight of migrants, the dejected and the unpopular. It is just a shame his care does not extend to the likes of Sohail Pardis, and that the horrors that have now restarted in Afghanistan may soon, in turn, come to menace our own populations.